A powerful female CEO accidentally sits at the wrong table at a high-stakes elite gala, but instead of correcting the mistake, she locks eyes with a quiet, seemingly broke man, and chooses him, not knowing he's a hidden billionaire with a heart no wealth could ever buy. Amora Whitmore was a woman who built billion-dollar decisions on instinct. She didn't misread people, she didn't sit in the wrong place, and she certainly didn't gamble her attention on men who had nothing to offer her world. But that night, she did all three. The table was wrong. The man was wrong. Everything about him said broke, simple suit, no status, no presence in a room designed for power. And yet, he didn't look at her like everyone else did. No ambition. No fear. No calculation. Just calm. A kind of calm that didn't belong to a man with nothing. And when he spoke, it wasn't to impress her. It was as if he already understood her. That was the first mistake she didn't walk away from. Because while the most powerful CEO in the room believed she had accidentally chosen a broke man from the wrong table, she had no idea she had just stepped into a story carefully designed long before she arrived. So what kind of broke man feels completely at ease in a room full of billionaires? What was he hiding behind that quiet confidence she couldn't explain? And when the truth finally unfolds, would the female CEO who chose him still feel the same way? Amora adjusted her dress as she entered the ballroom, her heels steady despite the weight of expectations. Table 6, Ms. Whitmore, the coordinator said quickly. She nodded, not questioning, moving with practiced precision. She sat. The man across her lifted his gaze. "You're not supposed to be here," he said softly. Amora replied, "Neither are you." If you're already hooked and want to see how this unexpected love story unfolds, kindly hit the subscribe button now and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next, because this story is only just getting started. The music swirled gently around them, but at table 6, something quieter and far more unsettling began to take shape. Amora held his gaze for a second longer than necessary, then looked away first. That alone irritated her. She didn't look away first. "Ethan," he said, extending his hand, calm and unhurried. His grip was firm, not overly confident, not submissive, balanced. "Controlled." "Amora," she replied, though he clearly already knew. A flicker in his eyes confirmed it. Of course he knew. Everyone in that room knew who she was. But unlike the others, he didn't use it. Didn't lean forward. Didn't flatter her. Didn't try to turn the moment into an opportunity. Instead, he sat back, as if the conversation didn't need to be forced. It unsettled her more than arrogance ever could. Across the ballroom, she caught glimpses of familiar faces, men who had spent years trying to earn 5 minutes of her attention. Tonight, she had given it to the wrong table. And somehow, it didn't feel wrong anymore. "So," she said, studying him again, "what do you do, Ethan?" A small pause. "Consulting," he answered simply. No details. No names. No effort to impress. Too simple. Too careful. Amora had built her empire by listening to what people didn't say. And Ethan wasn't saying a lot. A waiter approached, slightly nervous, his hands trembling as he set down a tray. The glass slipped, wine tilting dangerously. Before it could fall, Ethan reached out and steadied it. "No worries," he told the waiter gently, already helping him adjust the tray. The waiter exhaled in relief. "Thank you, sir." Ethan only nodded, returning to his seat as if it meant nothing. But Amora noticed. Men in this room didn't react like that. They expected service. They didn't protect it. "You're different," she said quietly. Ethan met her eyes. "From what?" he asked. And for the first time that night, Amora didn't have an answer. The gala continued around them, louder now, brighter, filled with laughter that sounded rehearsed. But at table 6, the silence between Amora and Ethan carried more weight than the noise of the entire room. Amora leaned back slightly, studying him with sharper intent. She had spent years mastering people, reading hesitation, ambition, insecurity. Every gesture told a story. Ethan's didn't. That was the problem. So you're a consultant, she said, her tone casual, but her eyes precise. Who do you consult for? A brief pause. Whoever needs clarity, he replied. Too vague. Too controlled. It was the kind of answer that revealed nothing while pretending to reveal something. Amora almost smiled. Across the room, a group of executives raised their glasses, celebrating a deal she had quietly dismantled earlier that evening. She recognized one of them, Victor Hale, the same man who had underestimated her 5 years ago. For a split second, her mind flickered backward. A conference room. A signed contract. A betrayal she didn't see coming. Victor's voice echoing, "Business isn't personal, Amora." But it had been. It nearly destroyed her company. And it had taught her one thing: never trust what looks simple. Her gaze returned to Ethan. Simple was dangerous. Clarity doesn't pay bills, she said lightly. Ethan's lips curved slightly. It does, if you give it to the right people. Again, not defensive. Not eager. Just certain. A server passed by with a tray of champagne. Ethan took one, then paused, glancing briefly at Amora before handing it to her first. A small gesture. Polite. But deliberate. He noticed things. Too much. You don't act like someone who needs to be here, she said. Ethan took his own glass. And you don't act like someone who sits at the wrong table, he replied. Their eyes met again. This time, neither of them looked away. The night should have ended at the gala. For Amora, events like that were transactional: appear, dominate, leave. No attachments. No lingering conversations. But as she stepped out into the quiet glow of the valley area, she noticed something that didn't fit. Ethan was there. Not waiting for a luxury car. Not surrounded by assistants. Just standing off to the side, hands in his pockets, watching the city lights as if he had nowhere urgent to be. That alone was strange. Men who attended that gala always had somewhere to go, or someone to impress. Still here? Amora asked as she approached. Ethan turned slightly, unsurprised. I could ask you the same. My driver's late, she said, though she hadn't even checked. A small lie. A test. Ethan nodded, accepting it without question. Then I guess we're both waiting. A black luxury sedan pulled up nearby, and a sharply dressed man rushed toward it, opening the door with urgency. Amora glanced at it briefly, then back at Ethan. He didn't even look. Instead, his attention drifted to a janitor nearby struggling with a heavy bin. Without a word, Ethan stepped forward and helped him steady it. Careful, he said quietly. The man smiled gratefully. Thank you, sir. Amora watched, something tightening in her chest. That wasn't strategy. That wasn't performance. That was instinct. You do that a lot, she asked when he returned. Do what? Act like nothing matters. Ethan met her gaze, calm as ever. Or maybe, he said, I just know what actually does. For a moment, the world around them felt distant. Then her car finally arrived. The driver stepped out quickly. Miss Whitmore. Amora hesitated, just for a second. Then she looked at Ethan. Good night, consultant. Ethan smiled faintly. Good night, CEO. But as she got into the car, one thought stayed with her. Why did it feel like she was the one being observed, not him? Amora wasn't supposed to see him again. Men like Ethan didn't cross into her world twice, not without trying to gain something. And Ethan hadn't tried at all. That was exactly why she couldn't ignore him. 3 days later, she found herself stepping out of her office building earlier than usual, her schedule unusually clear. It wasn't accidental. Across the street sat a quiet cafe she had never noticed before. And somehow, she knew he would be there. He was. Seated near the window, sleeves slightly rolled, a book resting open in front of him, but his eyes weren't on the pages. They lifted the moment she stepped in. No surprise. Just recognition. You followed me, he said calmly. Amora almost smiled. Or maybe you chose a predictable spot. Ethan closed the book gently. I come here often. Of course he did. Simple places. Quiet corners. Nothing extravagant. It matched the version of him he allowed the world to see. Amora sat across from him without asking. A waiter approached, and before she could speak, Ethan said, "She'll have what she usually orders." Amora's eyes narrowed slightly. I haven't been here before. Ethan met her gaze. You strike me as someone who doesn't experiment with coffee. A pause. He wasn't guessing. He was observing. Moments later, the drink arrived. Black. No sugar. Exactly right. Amora leaned back slightly, studying him again, more carefully this time. You pay attention, she said. Ethan shrugged lightly. Most people don't. There it was again, that quiet confidence that didn't need validation. Outside, a luxury car pulled up, drawing attention. A well-dressed man stepped out, flashing status with every movement. Amora glanced at it. Then back at Ethan. He didn't even notice. Or pretended not to. Tell me something real, she said suddenly. Ethan's expression didn't change. I don't like wasting time, he replied. And somehow, that felt like the most honest thing anyone had said to her in years. Amora didn't like uncertainty. It made her restless. And Ethan Cole had become exactly that, an unanswered equation she couldn't stop solving. That evening, she made a decision she wouldn't normally make. She tested him. Not with questions, but with pressure. I lost a major investor today, she said casually as they walked outside the cafe. It might destabilize my company. It was a lie. A controlled one. She watched his reaction closely, expecting hesitation, curiosity, maybe even opportunism. Ethan stopped walking. For the first time, something shifted, not panic, not excitement, just attention sharpening. Why? He asked simply. Bad judgment, she replied. A pause. Then Ethan nodded once. That happens when people trust the wrong signals. Amora studied him. You're not going to ask what I do next. I assume you'll handle it, he said. That answer unsettled her more than concern would have. Because he didn't see her as fragile. He saw her as capable. They continued walking, passing a small street vendor struggling to arrange his goods before closing. Without a word, Ethan stepped forward and helped him stabilize the stand. The vendor thanked him repeatedly, surprised by the gesture. Amora watched quietly. You always do that, she asked. Do what? Help people who can't give you anything back. Ethan straightened, glancing at her briefly. I don't measure people by what they can give me. That sentence lingered in the air longer than it should have. A faint memory surfaced in Amora's mind. 5 years ago, in a glass boardroom, a partner had said almost the opposite. Everyone has a price, Amora. You just have to find it. She had believed that once. Not anymore. Ethan continued walking beside her, hands in his pockets, unbothered by the world watching them pass. And for the first time, Amora wondered if she had been measuring people wrong all along. Amora didn't realize she had started looking for him until she noticed she was disappointed when he wasn't there. That realization unsettled her more than any failed deal ever had. 2 days later, she called him. Not through an assistant. Not formally. Just a simple message, dinner. Tonight. Ethan replied within minutes, okay. No questions. No hesitation. That alone felt strange. They met at a quiet restaurant far from the city's noise. Nothing extravagant, Amora had chosen it deliberately. She wanted to see what he would do in unfamiliar luxury. Ethan arrived on time. Not early. Not late. Exactly on time. He wore the same simplicity, plain suit, calm expression, no visible attempt to adjust to the environment. You picked this place, he asked as he sat down. Yes, Amora replied. Too simple for you. Ethan looked around briefly. It's fine. No discomfort. No admiration. Just acceptance. That bothered her. Most people either aspired to wealth or were intimidated by it. Ethan treated it like background noise. Dinner began quietly. Amora studied him between conversations, noticing details she had missed before, the way he listened fully before responding, the way he paused slightly before speaking, as if weighing truth rather than reaction. At one point, she asked, "Do you ever get tired of being underestimated?" Ethan placed his glass down gently. "I think people reveal more when they underestimate you," he said. A waiter passed by, nearly spilling a tray. Ethan instinctively shifted slightly, preventing the collision without drawing attention. Again, effortless. Amora leaned forward slightly. "You react too quickly for someone who claims to be just a consultant." Ethan met her eyes. "And you think too deeply for someone who claims she doesn't care." Silence settled between them. Not uncomfortable. Dangerously familiar. For the first time, Amora felt something she hadn't planned for. Not attraction. Not curiosity. But recognition. Like she was standing too close. Something she didn't yet understand. The dinner ended, but neither of them left immediately. Outside the restaurant, the city hummed with distant traffic and glowing towers that reminded Amora of everything she had built, and everything she thought she understood. Ethan stood beside her quietly, not rushing, not trying to extend the moment. That patience unsettled her again. Most men extended moments with her. Ethan simply lived inside them. "My driver is late again," she said, watching the road. He nodded. "Then we wait." Simple. No offer. No suggestion. Just acceptance of her time. A black convoy passed slowly across the street, drawing attention from pedestrians. Amora instinctively noticed the insignia on the car, foreign diplomatic level, expensive security detail. Ethan didn't look at it. Instead, he glanced toward a struggling man across the street trying to fix a broken bicycle chain. Without a word, he walked over. Amora followed after a moment, watching as Ethan knelt beside the man and helped adjust the chain with practiced ease. "You know mechanics?" the man asked, surprised. "A little," Ethan replied. "A little," Amora echoed quietly when he returned. Ethan shrugged. "Most things aren't complicated when you stop overthinking them." That sentence hit differently. Amora remembered a board meeting years ago, investors arguing endlessly, collapsing under analysis paralysis while she forced a decision that saved her company. She had called it leadership. Ethan would have called it clarity. Her driver finally arrived, stepping out quickly. "Miss Whitmore, sorry for the delay." She nodded but didn't move immediately. Instead, she looked at Ethan. "You always fix things that don't concern you," she said. Ethan met her gaze calmly. "Maybe I just notice what others ignore." A pause. Then Amora opened the car door, but hesitated before stepping in. For the first time, leaving him didn't feel like ending a meeting. It felt like walking away from something unfinished. And that thought disturbed her more than she was willing to admit. Amora tried to convince herself it was just curiosity. But curiosity didn't explain why she had started rearranging her schedule just to pass by places he might be. Or why she felt slightly off when he didn't respond to her message for an entire day. When he finally did reply, it was simple, busy. No explanation. No apology. That should have annoyed her. Instead, it intrigued her. The following evening, she decided to follow a different instinct. She went to him. Not to a restaurant. Not to a cafe. But to the quiet part of the city where wealth rarely visited. And there she saw him. Ethan stood outside a modest community hall, speaking with people, helping organize supplies, listening more than talking. No cameras. No attention. Just presence. Amora watched from a distance, hidden by passing cars. A woman handed him a file. He didn't look at it like paperwork, he looked at it like responsibility. "Thank you, Ethan," the woman said softly. He nodded. "We'll handle it." "We." Again. That word followed him everywhere. A child nearby tugged his sleeve, asking a question she couldn't hear. Ethan knelt instantly to their level, answering gently, smiling in a way Amora had never seen in boardrooms or elite gatherings. It wasn't performance. It was instinct. Amora felt something tighten in her chest. This version of him didn't match the quiet man at the gala. And yet, both felt real. A man stepped beside her unexpectedly. "You know him?" Amora hesitated. "A little." The man glanced at Ethan. "He's done more for this community than most wealthy people ever will. Funny thing is, nobody really knows where his money comes from." Amora turned sharply. "Money?" The man nodded. "Yeah. He pays for half of this place. But he never talks about himself." Amora's mind slowed. A gap appeared in everything she thought she knew. Because broke men didn't fund communities like this. And suddenly, Ethan Cole wasn't just mysterious anymore. He was becoming impossible. Amora didn't sleep that night. The word money kept echoing in her mind like a system error she couldn't resolve. Ethan funding a community center. It didn't align with anything she had assumed. So she did what she always did when reality didn't make sense. She investigated. By morning, her assistant had compiled everything she could legally access. But there was almost nothing. No corporate footprint. No registered employment history that matched scale. No visible assets. Just fragments. Too intentional. That absence itself felt like evidence. Later that day, Amora returned to the community hall. Ethan was already there. As if he had expected her. "You looked it up," he said calmly before she even spoke. Amora didn't deny it. "Who are you?" A long silence followed. Not dramatic. Measured. Ethan stepped away from the crowd slightly, hands in his pockets, eyes steady. "I didn't lie to you," he said. "I just didn't introduce myself properly." A faint memory flashed in Amora's mind, the gala, table 6, the quiet confidence, the centurion card she almost questioned. Her breath slowed. Ethan continued. "I built companies most people don't connect to a name. I don't enjoy visibility. I never have." A pause. "And I didn't want you to meet me as a headline." Amora's voice dropped. "So you let me think you were broke?" Ethan's gaze softened slightly. "I let you decide without influence." Silence stretched between them. For the first time, Amora wasn't analyzing him. She was feeling the weight of him. All the small moments came back, the calm, the certainty, the quiet generosity. None of it was accidental. A final truth settled in her chest. He hadn't been hiding wealth. He had been hiding power. And somehow, he had still chosen to sit at her table. Amora looked at him, her voice quieter now. "Why me?" Ethan didn't answer immediately. But when he did, it wasn't about money. "It was the only time," he said, "someone saw me without asking for anything first, and that changed." And that changed everything. The silence between them didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full of everything they had not said, everything they had misunderstood, and everything that finally made sense. Amora stood there, staring at Ethan as the truth settled into her like a slow sunrise. Not painful. Just irreversible. For years, she had built her world on certainty. Numbers. Power. Control. But Ethan didn't fit into any of those categories. He never had. "You could have had anyone," she said softly, her voice no longer sharp, just real. Ethan shook his head slightly. "That's not how I see it." A faint breeze moved through the open courtyard of the community hall. People passed behind them, unaware that something quietly life-changing was unfolding just a few steps away. Amora exhaled, almost laughing at herself. I sat at the wrong table, and somehow ended up exactly where I was supposed to be. Ethan stepped closer, not rushing her, not claiming her, just meeting her where she stood. I didn't want to be chosen for my name, he said. Or my money. A pause. I wanted to be chosen, like this. Amora looked at him for a long moment, then finally, truly let go of everything she thought she needed to protect. I chose you before I knew, she said. Ethan's expression softened. That's why it worked. For the first time, Amora reached for his hand without hesitation. No strategy. No calculation. Just certainty. And Ethan took it like it had always belonged there. No empire was mentioned. No wealth was declared. Because in that moment, none of it mattered. Only them. And the wrong table had become the right beginning. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, what would you have done if you discovered the broke man you chose was actually a hidden billionaire? Would you trust him, or walk away? Ice Thought Balloon. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Johnny Tales channel for more emotional, powerful, and twist-filled stories like this one.